Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows. My name is Nomsa Clara Mbe. I'm the founder of Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Nkosi Talk Shows. So today, our topic is how to overcome rejection in relationships. Have you ever been rejected by a member of family? Have you ever been rejected by your friends? Have you ever been rejected in a relationship? Sometimes a rejection in relationships can feel like when somebody rejects you, it can feel like that person has taken you for granted by breaking that relationship. Or sometimes if your family or your parents, there are some people that have been rejected by their parents, simple because of their sex. Basically, they want a boy, and here comes the baby, it's a girl. Simply, the parents wanted a girl, sex of the baby. Now the baby is born is a boy. So there are so many things that can cause rejection, mostly if you are coming from a dysfunctional family. So not just that, even perfect family as well, they have their own flaws. Mostly perfect families is all about control. So sometimes maybe you have this perfect family, you have perfect parents that wants you to be perfect and they wants you to become a lawyer or a doctor. Yes, you go off and you become something else. And then they feel let down. So then here comes the rejection. They don't want to know about you because they feel ashamed. You're not the son, you're not the daughter that they hoped you will become. So they had this perfect vision that you're gonna become this. So if you don't become that, then it comes to rejection, and then the rejection in intimacy relationships. Basically, what happens is you meet somebody and they promise you everything. You ask them, everything seems to align with your values. Everything seems to align with your beliefs. But then a year down the line, and this person comes and tell you that I don't think this is what I want. And I don't think we are a good match. Or I don't think this. They create so many stories. Here's you, because you feel rejected. You feel hurt, ashamed. You get angry, not knowing that actually when somebody rejects you, it's not your fault. So that means that person, they have baggage that they're dealing with. So if you don't know, and basically, if you don't know what is going on, and if you don't have a knowledge, because no one just can come along and just say, make promises and say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm looking for, and then a few years later they change their mind, or simply the rejection, it might be basically your character you have shown the other person when you've met. It could be simple. You've shown the other person the character that you thought they wanted to see, and you didn't show them the real you, and then a few months down the line you pretend your image, you pretend your character, and then this person, then the real you shows up. When that real you shows up, then the person is like, hang on a minute, this is not the person that I met. So then that person will be forced to say, okay, I don't think this is what I want. Then they get confused. Then it can end up with a relationship, with a broken relationship. Or sometimes it could be from your childhood. The rejection, it began from your childhood, being rejected by basically maybe your parents, they divorced, and you blame yourself that it was your fault that your parents divorced. But what you need to remember is how can it be your fault that you were an innocent child and born from the parents who already have their own problems? So it will never ever your fault that your parents divorced, and then basically, and then the rejection starts. So our minds will start creating so many things and creating so many things in our adulthood. But it start just making up stories like I'm not enough, or the feeling of basically I am not enough. I'm you. The feeling of blaming yourself, feeling of loneliness and hateful feelings, and being ashamed that now that your relationship is not worked out, people are gonna look at you different. People are gonna judge you because of the things that you've done, because you are not enough, and you end up developing social anxiety, which means that you start withdrawing from your social activities, and embarrassment. You're feeling the feeling of embarrassment, anger, jealousy. Basically, you start stalking your exes, or basically simply family members' anger with your family, parents, and mostly, and uh, all these negative emotions, they keep coming and keep coming. Your mind to keep creating them, but at the same time, you can actually create a positive. When you have been rejected by somebody, when it comes to relationship, it really, really hurts. When somebody is really rejected by their parents, I've met people when it comes to relationship that people that have been rejected by their parents. It really, really hurts, because you try to talk to that person without trying to actually show them that it's actually not your fault. They are like, but why? Sometimes you find that parents, they have their own favorite. I've got two kids. I don't have my favorite because I love my children the same. And I always tell them, my oldest will say, I'm mom's favorite, but I love my children the same. I don't have a favorite, but there are parents that have their favorite children. You find that a parent, they have four children or three children, but they have one that they are favorite and they call it number one. So is it right? Is it your fault when a parent picks just an individual child of your siblings and call them, like, favoring them and rejecting the other ones? No, it's not your fault. The reason why it's not your fault is, why would that parents have that behavior of neglecting the other person, the other children? So that means they have some things back to their childhood that they need to deal with. So if you yourself, you don't know anything about your parents' childhood, like myself, I grew up with my parents. My parents divorced when I was 8 months years old. 8 months, not years old, 8 months. So I lived with my dad. So I lived with my dad, and I lived with my mom when I was a little bit older. But I've never felt rejection from my parents. I've never felt that it was my fault that my parents rejected, my parents divorced, because I asked questions. I asked my dad, and just by looking at them too, that getting older, just realizing that my parents actually, they were not, they were two different people looking for two different things. My father was like a man who worked very hard for his family. When he works hard for his family, he basically wanted a housewife. But my mom never wanted to be a housewife. My mom wanted, they got married when they were young. My mom wanted to go back to school and study. So with my dad, it wouldn't have worked because he wanted a housewife. He wanted somebody who would look after the kids while he goes out and do the work. So my father was upfront, just explaining that he basically wanted somebody to look after his children while he is a man, because that was his beliefs that he has to go and basically work hard for his family. So that's why they basically divorced, because of their values. They had similar values and similar beliefs, but there were other values that basically did not align to them, both of them. So that's why they decided it's best they actually split up. So I asked my dad why I lived with you, not with my mom. My father never believed that another man would raise his own children. And also my mom wanted to go back to school. And my mom was like, she's a woman who believes that a man should raise his own children as well. So she went back to school. And my dad continued with work. We were happy as well. But as the time goes by, if I didn't ask those questions, there would have been a time where I would have started blaming myself, that because with my mom and my dad, I was the last born. So I would have started blaming myself and my siblings that it was our fault that our parents divorced. But it was never our fault, because uh, they had some issues to deal with. So that can happen, and that can happen when you actually being rejected, or simple the relationship. Sometimes we choose to see what we want to see. When relationships don't work, it's like when you have a relationship like with your siblings. Sometimes you have a relationship with your family, sometimes you have a relationship with your in-laws. Like myself with my in-laws, there are boundaries that I have put in place, that in my in-law, I'm gonna always look at them as my in-laws. We can laugh, we can make jokes, but I know that I'm not their best friends. I know they love me too much, but when it comes to relationship, you have to have your boundaries. There are things that I talk to them, there are things that I don't talk to them. I go and talk to my friends. So for me to keep our relationship, me to keep my relationship going with my in-laws, I know my boundaries. I know there are things that I can tell them. I know there are things that I cannot tell them, because what happens is we live in a world that is full of judgment. Uh, Basically, when you tell people something, they will use that later against you. So I have boundaries. The things that I talk to my in-laws, there are things. Hi. Hey Dewa, how you doing? I hope you are well. So counting 4 days left till Christmas. It's the 20th today. so sometimes when you're being rejected by your in-laws, it doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you. It just means that some people, they are very judgmental. They have the image of they've known their son for a very, very long time. When somebody has lived with their son for the long time, their daughters for a very, very long time, you enter the picture. And sometimes they are close to that person, their daughter, they are close to their son. You enter the picture. They can feel threatened by your presence. But it will then be up to you to show them that I come in peace. Sometimes, Merry Christmas, the happy yeah. So everyone Dewa does laughing yoga. So um, he does laughing yoga every Friday. So it's really good. It's amazing. You should follow him and check him out. He's basically amazing. Um, he does yoga. I think is 12 p.m. UK time. Sometimes it's 11 p.m. So if you follow him, then you'll be able, or message him, you'll be able to connect with him if you want to be happy, laughing yoga. So, and follow him. So what happens is, you basically enter your in-laws and they reject you. Remember, they spend the rest of all their lives with their child. So it would then be up to you to actually show them that I come in peace, to build that relationship, not to say when somebody is basically feel threatened by your presence and you revenge back. That's not how it works. So sometimes they feel threatened by your presence because they feel that you are taking their child away from them. So it would then be up to you that it is show them that no, I come in peace. I'm here to build a relationship. I would love to get to know you. So you get to know you by showing your true authenticity character, by showing them that you are here to build a proper foundation, a proper relationship with their son, with their daughter, and with them as well. So, and then once the people get to know you, they change their mind, but sometimes it takes time. So sometimes some people will be like, oh, I'm being rejected by my in-laws. And then you reject back, you fight back, and then it becomes something else. It becomes a stronghold. It becomes a chain. Where the chain is not necessary to be there, you could be something like, okay, they are rejecting me. Let me find out why. You don't have to put on your personality, because God is love, is authentic, is real. You don't have to put on any personality to fit in with anyone. Let people know your true authenticity. Let people get to know you. If your in-laws are rejecting you, let them get to know you. You don't have to try to fit in. You don't have to be something else. True love, it comes from within. So let somebody get to know you. Even when it comes to intimacy, relationship, when you are being rejected by somebody, it means that person has some messed up life that they need to deal with. They have a baggage that they need to deal with. So it would then be up to you that you need to sit down, evaluate your relationship. How have I contributed in this rejection? It takes two to tango. So sometimes basically people get rejected not because of what they have done. It's not because of what you have done, it's because that person has some things to deal with. Let's say I've had a messed up childhood. You don't know anything about my childhood. You don't know anything about my past relationships. Maybe I've been abused in a relationship before. So here you entering your life, you see Nomsa, she's beautiful. And you enter my life. And I make promises to you that I'm going to love you until I'm going to love you this, I'm going to do this, we're going to do this together. And then a few months down the line, the true Nomsa start showing up. That Nomsa that does not feel confidence. Nomsa that does not have courage. So my true authenticity that maybe I'm struggling with confidence, it shows up. But I have shown you a different Nomsa. So because you don't know anything about my past, so Nomsa rejects you. Now you fall in love with me. I'm like, I'm scared. He's going to leave me. So I reject you. Then guess what you do? You don't know anything about what I've been through. Here is you. I'm not enough. Here is you. feeling ashamed. Here is you blaming yourself basically for no reason. So that's what happened when you have been rejected in life. You have to evaluate, what part did I play in this rejection? What part did I play? Any part? What kind of a bad habit do I have? You have to own your part. Basically, you have to own your part. When you've been rejected or the relationship has not worked out, even with your parents, even with your friends, you have to own your part. Just ask yourself, face the fears that you are fearing, and because when that happens, when you are being rejected, then there's gonna be fear in every relationship if you don't deal with it professional, because you have to deal with things professional. If you have been rejected, you have to face your fears. Don't be afraid of rejection, like being afraid of being rejected again. And basically, and then you end up saying negative talk about yourself, self-negative talk, and self-criticism. You start criticizing yourself that I am not enough. No one cares about me, or no one loves me. Just because you've been rejected by one person, one woman, one man, it does not mean that everybody feels the same about you. It will be up to you to deal with the situation, and just try to hang around with people who care. There are some people who care about you, so try to find those people. Even with friends, try to find the friends that care about you. And sometimes some people believe that they have to be popular. One friend that is a champion. Just try to hang out with somebody who encourage you to become who you're meant to be, and create a good support network. Just try to find a good support network, and so that your network can encourage you to actually achieve your goals. Because just because you've been rejected doesn't mean that it is the end of the world. And if you feel that that rejection is actually affecting you deeply, try to find a professional therapist to actually talk to, and so you can actually go for opportunities, so you can actually go and start dating when you're ready, so you can actually have a relationship, because rejection will keep you from the things that you love to do. And but when you're being rejected, how you respond, you have to respond in the present moment. Don't respond based on the past. Don't respond based on what's going to happen next year. Respond to the situation based on that present moment and deal with that situation. If you feel that maybe is the decision, maybe if you feel that, evaluate the decision of a person that basically has rejected you, and don't try. Some people, when they are being rejected, they will try to actually convince the other person that actually they will try to convince the other person. Hi, Kayla. Hey, mommy's doing live. Okay, you wanna come and say hello? Where have you been? Kayla? Yeah. Go to daddy. Say hello and go to daddy. Where's our people? Go to daddy. Mommy's doing live. Hello. Yeah. Mama, look. Yeah. We changed out for bubble gum. Oh, well, that's awesome. Go, 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 go. I will finish and I will come and get you. I will see you have a Christmas jumper. Okay. So, sorry guys, that was my daughter, and she didn't realize I was working. So the person that rejected you, some people, when they're being rejected, they would try to actually convince the person that is rejected them, that I am good enough and stuff. Basically, when that happens, they can exit. As simple as that. If somebody rejects you, make an exit and just leave. Don't stick around. Because if you stick around, you're gonna get hurt. What if they change their mind and then they waste your time again, another 2 years or another 1 year? So don't stick around. You can only stay if the other person says they're upfront and say, I've rejected you because of this, but I'm willing to go for therapy. Unless if you both go for therapy so you can understand what is going on, or if they prefer to go on their own, then in that way you know that they are dealing with the situation. So there are some people basically that they reject people because they feel that they are not enough, and they will try to basically to reject you first, because in their mind they don't have confidence and they feel that you are out of their league, so they might as well reject you before you actually reject them. And you may find that you don't have the mind of rejecting them, and you are planning the future with them. So try to do that. Try to make an exit very quietly if you feel that you're being rejected. Uh, uh, Sometimes people reject people for so many reasons. So many reasons. Sometimes it could be the death of a family member, inheritance. And inheritance, it comes with money, it causes fights. So that's when people can reject each other, and you find that people are no longer talking to each other. Families' life is being torn apart because of that. There are so many reasons, and but how do you overcome the rejection? Because that's why we are here. How do we overcome rejection? You have to accept, like I said, make an exit very quickly, and once, don't stick around. So to overcome it, you have to accept whatever it is that is going on. You cannot go around it. You cannot go to the left, you cannot go to the right, you can only go through the problems. So if you are being rejected, you have to accept whatever it is going on, and check in with yourself. When you check in with yourself, it means that you are evaluating yourself. You are evaluating your relationship with the person that has rejected you, and you accept whatever is going on, and you know your worth. When you check in yourself, it means you're keeping your character, you are keeping your image. It's not something that is easy. It's not easy. You are keeping your image, you are keeping your character, and you know your worth. When you are being rejected, you have to check in with yourself. That is very important to overcome it. Make an exit. Don't try to convince the other person that you are worthy if they don't want to be with you. Or whether it could be a family member, love from distance. Don't try, because sometimes if there is a hope for you to actually make up things with a family member, if you try to convince somebody that they are wrong or you are right, or they are right, you are wrong, if somebody does not want to be with you, make an exit very quickly, and accept whatever is going on. Deal with it. Go to sleep. Don't make a decision. Go to sleep. Deal with it. And know that everything is going to work out just fine. Because God created you. When God created you, when you were in your mother's womb, God never said, you are going to be rejected by other people. That's not the image that he gave you. He gave you your destiny. Your destiny hasn't got problems. The problems that come along with your destiny is problems that you have to face. So you have to see the rejection as another battle that you are facing, but you have to check in with yourself. Know your worth is very, very important. When you are being rejected, face your fears. At that moment, face your fears, whatever you are fearing. If you are fearing of being rejected by people, face it at that moment. Or if you need to basically speak to somebody professional, do it. Avoid feeling sorry. Avoid hanging out with people that are going to feel sorry for you. You don't deserve this. Why would somebody do this? That does not help. When somebody feeling sorry for you, it doesn't help. You want somebody that will just help you to actually that will just help you to actually deal with the problems, because just because you have been rejected, it does not mean that um it was your fault. And once you actually know you're worthy and facing whatever is going on, facing your fears, remind yourself what you can offer to yourself, what you can offer to somebody else next relationship. If it is your parents that maybe have been rejected you, remind yourself who is the creator of your destiny. The creator of your destiny, it was never your parents. Your parents, your mom and dad had sex with both of them and they created you. But the creator is God. God will never reject you. So remember, when you are having problems with your parents, it is not your parents' fault. They have their own issues. It is not your fault, but you still have love that is bigger than anybody else, which is God. God will never reject you. God says, come with your burden, come as you are. I don't know your beliefs, but when everybody dies, it says God. That's when they know there is God. So we all scream for God when we're going through challenges in life. So that is the person that you need to know, that he still loves you. And no matter whatever you are going on, and practice your personal values is very, very important to be able to overcome rejection. Practice your personal values. Write down everything you are proud of. Write down the bad habits that you need to work on in order for whatever happens, so it doesn't happen again. The reason why you write down things, you might have been with the wrong person in the beginning, and it may be you basically, when the relationship ends or it begins, sometimes there are some people that date the wrong people from the beginning. They are like, okay, you are a Christian, you want a man who is a Christian. You are a Christian man, you want a woman who is a Christian, and you basically maybe you know that your relationship is not going to work because of your values, but then you decide, I'm going to date them and I'm going to change them. A few months down the line, they're going to come and worship with me, or they're going to do this. But people don't change. You remember, if you date somebody and it is their values, it is their beliefs, you can't change somebody for them to believe your beliefs and to believe your values. You can't do that. They can only change if they want to. So as long as they don't want to, so it is very, very important for you to be honest and be sincere, and work on your healing as well. It's very, very important to be able to overcome rejection. You have to work on your healing, and ask yourself, what are you hoping to receive? What are you hoping to become when all this, like when you finish with all this healing? And what are you hoping to receive? And What were you hoping? Then what were you hoping to receive in that relationship that has ended? Was it care? Was it companionship? Was it intimacy? Or is there any other ways you can get these things without crying to the person that rejected you? Is there any other way you can work on your own and get these needs now that the relationship is over? And also work on your needs. It's very, very important to work on your needs directly and recognizing that you are unique. I said basically that when if you are being rejected by your parents, it doesn't mean that it is the end of everything. It hurts. I don't know how it feels because I have never been rejected by my parents, but I know I've met people that have problems with their parents. When they talk, you can see that they are hurting. So, but you still have to remember that God created you. God created your parents. You still have somebody that you can cry to. You can still pray for that relationship, for healing for both, because that means both your parents are going through something and you are going through something. So that means you can still pray for your family. Because when you pray, you don't just say God. God basically does not want, he says, obey your parents. So it means I can have a messed up mother who is alcoholic. I can have a messed up father who is alcoholic. According to God, I still have to love them. I cannot go and say my mother, my father, I still have to obey them. I still have to love them. But you can love and live behind and love from the distance. So without hatred. So that's what the Bible encourages, love without hatred, regardless of whatever your family, your parents they have done. There are some parents who are really, really messed up, who mess up their children, but you still have to work on forgiveness, work on your healing, and it's very, very important. And once you write down all these things and what do you want to achieve after this, and avoid blaming yourself, avoid making yourself like you were wrong, and avoid basically the blame, avoid the blame. The most thing that helped me when I was going through divorce is accepting the situation, not wanting to blame anyone in that relationship, wanting to check in with myself and wanting to actually fix me, and actually so I don't take the baggage to my other relationship. It was the most thing that I've ever done for myself. Basically fixing myself and fixing my life, and looking back at my childhood and basically seeking to find what went wrong, why my relationship were all ending up in the same cycle. And it helped me to realize actually that I had some things that I needed to deal with. So I've dealt with that, and it helps me basically to understand that because when every time I entered a relationship, my father never ever told me off. My father was a man that when a child making mistakes, instead of telling you off, they'll sit down with you and explain that this is this, this is this, and it is very, very important to do this, to do these things like this, and basically showing me the principles of being a child and respecting and honoring your parents, and the principles and the consequences of what happens if you don't listen to your parents and things like that. So those were the things that I had to go back and deal with it. That I wasn't used to be basically for somebody yelling at me. I'm like, I don't understand. When I enter a relationship and then somebody yells at me, or somebody basically bad language was something that I was never used to. I was raised by my parents are very, very, they're loving and caring. So I wasn't used to be aggressive. I've never witnessed my parents fighting. It's not because they never fight. They did, big time. Because I did ask when I was older, ask my dad, and he was like, yes, but we didn't need to fight in front of the kids. So those were the things that I had to work on, basically, to accept that people are different, that we all different people as individual. So I had to work on myself. So that's how you can do that, by educating yourself. If you've been rejected, and checking in with yourself, educate yourself, and working on those bad habits that are basically uh, limiting beliefs. And once you do that, and educate yourself, basically you're educating yourself to have the knowledge of how to deal with the relationships, when how to deal with the rejection when the rejection is presented to you, having an understanding basically what rejection is, and how to deal with it when you are being affected by it, dealing with your emotions, and uh, just write down basically those things that you believe that they are your limiting beliefs, and allow yourself time to process everything, and allow your feelings as well, because we don't just get up and the wounds are gone. So you have to, in time, don't stay too long, and don't stay too long in that problems, dealing with your wounds. And once you deal with your wounds, you have to understand that true love does not have to be a performance. So you don't have to perform. When you meet another person, if your relationship has not worked out, uh, rejection causes insecurity, and spend time with people, those who accept you for you. And when you experience romantic rejection, basically you will feel humiliated, you will feel stupid, you will feel unwanted, you will feel unloved, and you will feel ashamed. So you have to work on that, or those fears. You have to work on that. So when you go to the next relationship, you don't have to perform, knowing that I don't have to perform to be loved. I don't have to be something that I'm not. I don't have to. I don't have to be. To create a character, you have to keep your true authenticity. So it is very, very important, because when people have been rejected, they will try to perform the character, the personality that has nothing to do with them. You start creating all these characters. So you have to know that when you are being rejected, you have to work on that. Work on your healing process, and basically asking yourself that, are you engaging, are you responsible, are you sabotaging yourself, basically? Or look at your character, look at your values. You have to check in your characters, check in your values, and check in on your limiting beliefs. Is there anything that is actually holding you back, that is causing people reject you? Basically what happens is, there are some few people who are living their lives, their true authenticity. Some people, they live, but not really to the fully. Is something that I've learned the hard way, that I don't have to pretend to be something that I'm not. I have to own I have to own my behavior, and I have to basically ask myself, if am I contributing to the rejection or not? Because sometimes if you perform, you will end up contributing to the basically what is happening. Avoid revenge. It's very, very important when you have problems with somebody. Do not try to revenge. Do not try to revenge. If you are not, if you split up with somebody, or it could be family members or friends, a relationship with friends or intimacy relationship, never ever try to revenge. By when you've been hurt by somebody, there are some people that they've been hurt by women, and they will go around and sleeping with every woman that is they can get hold of as a revenge. There are some people that will go and women who go and sleep with every man as a revenge because they've been rejected by their past. And there are some people who will go enter a relationship and start abusing their wives, their spouse, because they've been rejected before. Like you enter a relationship with a woman and you start abusing that woman because of the woman who rejected you in the past, or you start abusing the man, dominating the man because of the man that abused you in the past. Remember, live in the present. Never try to revenge, because the reason why you never try to revenge with people is because our Creator created us to live our lives to the full. There was never problems when God created us, when we were given our destinies. And when you meet somebody, they wrong you, you have to deal with that professional, you deal with that person in the present moment, you deal with them and you leave them behind. That's why it's very, very important to actually fire things, put things on fire. For me, basically, what I do is the memories that do not, the memories that brings pain in my life, and in order for me to move on, I burn those memories. It could be even clothes that are, when I look at them, they remind me of my past. It could be pictures, it could be anything. I deal with my past and I burn things. When was it? A few months ago. Was it a few months ago? Yes. I had this laptop, so I wanted to get rid of it, and it had some pictures of my past with my friends. I know it's still on iCloud, but because originally I store everything in that laptop, so I had to burn my laptop because I needed to be free within. I needed to move. I need to move on. I needed to move on, knowing that I don't owe that laptop is banned. Everything, the clothes is banned. Sometimes I listen, I read the Bible, and I look at the clothes that I owe, that I own. And when I look at the clothes and I see that actually these clothes don't represent the kingdom of God, instead of me taking them to charity shop, I don't. I used to take them to charity shop, but now I don't. If I don't like something, or if I feel that something does not represent the kingdom of God, I ban it. So I ban, or even with the shoes or anything that I know that I bought this, but now I do have more knowledge with what with how to create with regards to creating my image to represent the kingdom of God. So I ban it, and when I do that, it's a journey that I am walking through. It's a journey. For me, it's a learning. I'm learning. I can look back and say, I used to be this, I used to do that. So it helps me to actually get rid of my limiting beliefs. It helps me because when I learn every single day, it gives me the knowledge of the things that I didn't know. So sometimes you have to, when you are being rejected, you're gonna have to educate yourself and not about whatever is going on is not about you. Is it could be about the other person that has a baggage. Basically, when somebody has a baggage, they will need to clear the baggage and to clear their baggage so they can be ready to date. So you have to see it as a blessing. And for you to see it as a blessing, see it as a blessing when you're being rejected and break the chains. Because if you don't break the chains, this cycle goes on and on and on. You'll find yourself. I don't know what happens. I think when you're being rejected by people, so many people, it creates a spirit of rejection. So what you will need to do is to work on those chains and basically work on the spirit of rejection, because it's something that we don't talk about it, but work on the rejection, that cycle to break it. Basically, you can break it by using your beliefs. You can pray about it, or you can actually work on it, read books, so you can understand and work on your character as well, work on your image, so that rejection does not become a cycle, it doesn't become a chain. The chain means that you become a follower trying to fit in with everybody else just because you have people that have messed up life that have rejected you. So because you don't know what is going on, and then you start blaming yourself and chaining yourself, the chains of your mistakes. So that becomes a mistake. That becomes a chain. I'm not enough. That becomes a chain that are and being ashamed, feeling guilty, it becomes a chain. So you have to break every chain. You have to break it and be ready to date and just define the role as well. It's very, very important to define the role you played in that relationship, and or the other person, what role did they play for this relationship to end, and what can you own up to. Is very, very important. What can you own up to regarding the split? Or it could be a relationship with your family. What can you own up to? Or maybe we're trying to change people. For me, basically, I do not have the time of trying to change my family, my siblings. They know that I don't have the time of trying to change somebody to become what I want. I basically help somebody. I help my family and I help my friends. My friends, they know that I don't have time to change people. Before, I used to think that I know if somebody does not behave like the way I behave, I'll be like, why are they doing this? But at this moment, I understand that we are all individual. We can never behave the same. We can never have the same beliefs. We can never ever have the same values. So all you gotta do is accept people for who they are. Love them, accept them for who they are, and never try to change anyone. Because, like, let's say, I, Nomsa Clara Mzumbe, I like to get up in the morning and pray and cry out to God and just tell God and just cry out and tell God how amazing He is, and thanking Him for giving me this life, thanking Him for being part of my life, for looking after me, giving me good health and protection, and all these things, for God being the strength in my life, being everything in my life. And I want somebody to behave like me. When I finish praying to God, what do? I have my breakfast. I meditate. I have my breakfast. When I finish having my breakfast, well, sometimes I have a shower. I have a shower first or a bath. And when I'm finished having a bath, I do my hair and I eat and I go to work. Basically, I get up in the morning. By the time I pray, I do a little bit of work for 1 hour work at home. And by the time I get out of the house, I'm basically ready to go. So I cannot change people. It's exhausting if I want people to become me. And it's exhausting being Nomsa. So I wouldn't want somebody to actually become me because I understand me. So I don't want another Nomsa. So it's nice for me when I meet my friends. We talk about things. They tell me what they get up to, or they mourn if there's something that they don't like. They can let it all out. I'm listening, or I can let it all out to them. They listen to me. So it's nice to be different. It's okay to have different values. It's okay to have different beliefs. Sometimes people, we try to change people. When we meet people, we want them to become what we are. We want them to behave how we behave. We want them to speak our language. We want them to basically be what we want, but it doesn't work. So that's sometimes those are the cause of rejection. You find that your parents want you to become what they didn't become when they were getting older, or so they want they want you to become this image that they have about their perfect daughter, or perfect son, and it doesn't work. That's where families end up being rejecting each other, because we want people to be what we want. But what we forget is that person was created by two parents with God, and God gave that person their destiny to say, this is your destiny. Your destiny has a horse for you to ride for your destiny. Your destiny has a house for you to live in. Your destiny has basically there is a house, there is a horse, your destiny, there's a key to unlock the doors of your destiny. Your destiny has a key. You have to hold the key of opportunities, the image, the character, so many things that God has given for you to actually live that life. So imagine I'm entering your life and trying to change all that your creator created. Then you'll be miserable and I'll be miserable. So that's why we need to understand, when it comes to rejection, that it's not always about your fault when you are being rejected. That's what I'm going to leave you with, that it's not always your fault when you are being rejected. And if you know that being honest, that I'm being rejected because of my character does not align with what this person wants, my character does not align with what I want in a relationship, is work on yourself without judging yourself, without blaming yourself. Work on yourself, work on who you want to become, so that everything can align with what you want to become. That is very, very, very important. That's what I'll leave with. And if you want to get in touch with the Gossip Talk Shows, you can go to our page and get in touch with the request, whatever the speaker you want to connect with, and get in touch. And you can follow us on YouTube, and follow us on YouTube, and on our social media as well. Or you can go to the website, Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency. That's www.hseia.com, and just get in touch with us. And please, if you're watching this video later, share some love, the video with your friends, and live with grace, everyone. And God bless you. See you tomorrow.